Now, the Energy Department concluding in a lengthy report out over the weekend that COVID-19 most likely leaked from a lab in Wuhan, China, as the House plans to hold two hearings on China today, one this morning at 10 o'clock Eastern Time, another in prime time tonight.
Yeah, joining us now for more is author of The Coming Collapse of China and the Great U.S.-China Tech War, Gordon Chang. Gordon, good morning to you. The Chinese Foreign Ministry responded to this report saying certain parties should stop rehashing the lab leak narrative, stop smearing China, and stop politicizing origins tracings. Your reaction to that?
Well, first of all, this is the crime of the century, and we got to get to the bottom of it. And the reason is, and we have to talk about how to deter China from spreading the next disease, because they are working on specific ethnic genetic attacks. In other words, diseases that will leave the Chinese immune, but sicken and kill everybody else. I mean, there has been no cost on China for deliberately spreading COVID-19 beyond its borders. They lied about contagiousness, remember, and that shows a guilty conscience on the part of the Chinese, especially because they were locking down their own country and forcing other countries to take arrivals from China without travel restrictions or quarantines. So we have to impose those costs on China for spreading COVID-19 beyond its borders. And that means we have to get to the bottom of it. And China obviously doesn't want to.
Yeah, I feel somewhat vindicated. The rest of the media has been laughing at Newsmax for giving this story any oxygen over the last 2+ years. Turns out that we were most likely right. Gordon, take a look at this flashback. This is how the media has covered this over the last several years. LA Times, the lab leak theory for the origin of COVID is fading. CNN, lab leak COVID theory is like something out of a comic book, virologist says. The Guardian, ignore the conspiracy theories. Scientists know COVID-19 wasn't created in a lab. Is the COVID lab leak, and we just came off Alex's piece about DirecTV, is this the latest example of media and governmental censorship? Is that where we need to look next?
Oh, obviously. And I think part of the reason is that a guy named Anthony Fauci certainly does not want the lab leak theory pursued. And the reason is, in 2014, the Obama administration imposed a moratorium on federal funding of gain-of-function research because it was just far too dangerous. So what Fauci did was he outsourced that to a Chinese biological weapons lab. You know, Fauci says he's never funded gain-of-function at the Wuhan Institute of Virology, but unfortunately for him, there are two public scientific papers, one from 2016, the other from 2017, from researchers at the Wuhan Institute, clearly describing gain of function and specifically acknowledging funding from Fauci's Institute of Allergy and Infectious Diseases. So clearly Fauci does not want that brought to light.
Yeah, very interesting. What you said earlier, the fact that China's working on another virus that could harm, that's alarming. And that's extremely scary. We have these hearings that are happening today and at prime time. So hopefully we'll get some answers. I do want to pivot now to Russia because China's claiming the peace position, calling for a ceasefire between Russia and Ukraine. Now, this while China's reportedly providing Russia with lethal military assistance. This is what Strategic Communications Coordinator John Kirby had to say.
The price and the scope of lethal weapons. What's the latest assessment that you have right now? How close is China to this major decision, and which way are they leaning?
No change in our assessment right now, Wolf, that they have not made this decision to move ahead with lethal assistance, and we just don't believe it's in China's interest to do that, to want to be on the side of Vladimir Putin and helping him kill innocent Ukrainian people and get involved even deeper into this particular conflict. So we obviously urge China to make the right choice here and to not come in on the side of Russia, particularly when it comes to lethal assistance. And again, we don't believe it's in their interest to do so.
Gordon, final thoughts on this? What's your take on that?
John Kirby was not telling the truth. There's so much reporting from the beginning of this war, but especially in the last month, that shows China is supplying lethal assistance to Russia, including the drones to the Wagner Group, which is fighting in Ukraine. Plus, also, there's reports that a very large Russian cargo plane, the AN-124, the biggest cargo plane in the world, takes off almost daily from China's Zhengzhou, carrying ammunition and other items. I think the administration needs to explain these reports. If they think that these reports are not true, they need to tell us, but they do need to stop misleading us with comments like Kirby's.
All right, Gordon Chang, thanks so much for being with us this morning, breaking that down. We look forward to seeing you at CPAC a little bit later this week. Thank you.